I would like to know how many palettes have bit the dust just from content creators trying to make this stupid thumbnail. Hey lovelies, thanks for stopping by my channel today. I'm excited for today's video. We are going to be going through my top eyeshadow palettes for winter. And let me tell you, winter is not coming, winter is here. Tonight, it is negative 11 degrees and it feels like negative, what is it saying now? Negative 33 degrees. 33. So I figured on this dark, chilly, very windy night, I would hang out with all of you and talk about some eyeshadow palettes. But if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Like I said, we have some palettes here that I'm gonna go through with you tonight. I do believe, if I counted correctly, I have 10 of my favorites that I'm gonna be reaching for this winter, and I have a new addition to this series, if you will. I know that a lot of content creators do these like seasonal favorites, and I have a new category that I'm going to add in here. That'll be coming at the end, so stick around for that. So I'm sure I'm going to be doing a bit of rambling, probably a little bit of swatching. We've got a lot to do. Let's get into it. All right, we're gonna start off with this one because I have a feeling I've already shown you the clip of where I almost destroyed her. This is the Pat McGrath Mothership 3 Subversive palette. This palette for me is totally the beautiful, quintessential, like, winter color story. You have some grungy tones. I mean, even this like bluey purple kind of gives me a bit of grungy vibe. You have that almost like old gold meets olive. And then of course you have some beautiful cool toned mattes. I think this is going to be a great one to pull out this winter. I have only worn this a couple times. I really need to do it again. I really enjoyed it when I used it, and it's just, again, I keep it in the boxes and it just makes me not use them as much because then I have to unravel, and a lot of times in the morning I'm just like too busy to go about that business. So I'm actually going to put this one out into my makeup rotation, right onto my Shop My Stash vanity area, and then that way I can get some use out of her in this season. So I'm really excited to do that. All right, we might as well just keep on going with Pat McGrath. I'm gonna talk about the Celestial Divinity palette. So this palette, I mean, I still love her. I still love her, and I haven't pulled it out in a while. So that's a big part of why I'm pulling it out now. I have a feeling I probably put this in my last winter palette video, and that's okay because I still think it's a great one for the winter. I think what I'm really gonna try to focus on is using some of the shades that it looks like I haven't touched much of in here. So for instance, I mean, this shade Smoked Amethyst, I mean, that's exactly kind of what it is, right? It's like that, like smoky with a purple little flip to it kind of shade. That would be perfect for like a beautiful smoky eye. I think that would pair really well with, I mean, any of these other purples in here. If you know me, you know I don't do a ton of purples. So that's one I'm definitely gonna have to dip into because I don't think I've used that shade in here at all. Probably all of the other ones I've at least touched, but like this shade too, I think I have used that one. That is Odyssey. Ooh, these would make a nice little combo together. So this one I'm definitely gonna have to dip into. I think part of it is before I did my eyeshadow palette declutter, I just couldn't find much in my collection. And actually I had my Motherships in the cabinet behind me, and so they just didn't see any love because they were like in their like special little like hideout corner. And I can't do that. I need to be able to see my makeup to use my makeup. Also, as I am wiping off my swatches here, I don't normally sound like I've smoked a pack of cigarettes. I feel like, well, I mean, right now it is 11:30 at night, so that's probably part of it, but I just feel like today was my last day of my holiday stretch at work at the salon, and I just feel like I've done so much talking. I've done so much talking this week. Like, it's such a bad thing to like complain about, but I just feel like I need like a night of rest on my voice. So I think I'm probably gonna like chill out. I have a feeling my fiance Jeremy will be plowing snow again tomorrow. So I'll probably just have some time to like maybe listen to an audiobook and like not have to say anything for a few hours because I think I need a little rest. But me talking about how much I need to rest my voice is probably ridiculous. Anyway, so let's go into this one. We're gonna totally like flip from super colorful to really fairly neutral, but this is one that I think for, you know, soft, subtle, wintry days, this is gonna be a great one. This is the Wayne Goss Pearl palette. So this is that like soft, sort of like dusky, mauve-y pink situation. It's sort of like a grayed out millennial pink sort of situation. And I really do like this palette. Again, it's one of those that you can just put on and you know it's gonna look nice. I will say I'm never in love with these like topper shades, these like luminous celestial business things. I just find that they get hard pan really easily. They don't give me enough ba-bam. But really, is this a palette that I'm pulling out if I'm looking for ba-bam? Probably not. This would just be a good like, okay, I can like, you know, give my eyes a little bit of dimension and get out the door. And I will say, like, this month especially, especially this week, it was all about like quick, easy makeup. Like I would honestly, like just today, I just put on one shadow and then I'd pop on a little blush. I did actually just have a lip gloss on today, but I threw on some lipstick just for you. But this would be a nice palette for that. You know, I could do a couple shadows or even like one and then just like run a little bit of that gray shade along my lash line to feel a little bit, you know, more like smoky. So I'm definitely going to reach into this one this season. I think a lot of people would maybe look at this and think like springtime, which I think it definitely, you know, would work for. But for me, I think that this is going to be a winter vibes moment. I really do like Wayne's formula. It is not by any chance the most like awe-inspiring, impactful formula, but what it is it's reliable, it's easy to blend, and it's something that I know that I'm just going to look nice in every single time I wear it. So it's going to be perfect for those mornings where I don't really want to do a lot, but I want to look like I did more than I actually did. All right, here is one for the mornings where I want to look like I did a lot. This is the Giant Wolves palette from Odin's Eye. Of course, this was the collab with Annette. So, I mean, do I even have to say anything? Ooh, did I almost stick my finger in that one? No, we're good. This is winter. This is winter. I will say this Eternal shade on the bottom stole my heart when I wore it. Like, it is just such a beautiful, like, color flip shade. Odin's Eye does multi-chromes really beautifully. They don't do enough of them, in all honesty. Like, I would rather see them doing a few more multi-chromes in palettes, and, you know, if that raised the palette a couple bucks, I would rather see that. I've been sort of, about Odin's Eye, honestly, ever since the Solmana 2 palette came out. I'm just sort of feeling like I have to be careful with my choices. I was drawn in to the one of the winter palettes, not the blue one, but the other one. If you know me, you know that blues and purples really aren't something that I grab for all that much, although like pretty much all of these shades are something that I can get down with. The one that's always tricky for me is this like more like almost like cornflower meets periwinkle kind of shade, but the rest of these in here I feel super comfortable with. Wow, that was a sidetrack. So I really liked the Odin's Eye Holiday palette that was more like in the warm and greens, and I didn't get it because I was like, there's just not enough like ooh shades in here for me. I'm glad that it sold out. I know that sounds bad, but I just have a feeling that the FOMO would have gotten to me and I would have purchased it, and I probably would have loved it. I probably would have loved it, but it's not a need for me right now. I need to hold out for a color story that really speaks to me and not just like, oh yeah, I could do that one. And I think that's really what that was for me. It was like, oh, there's a color story that I feel like it has a couple more special shades, but it just wasn't something that was like really grabbing me, but I probably would have bought it anyway. So thankfully all of you bought it and I didn't. But anyway, I'm definitely gonna pull out Giant Wolves. I think Annette did such a good job with this color story. She definitely has a little bit different of like favorite color themes that she likes to wear. But while we don't necessarily have the same aesthetic all the time as far as like the colors that we wear, I think she pairs colors really well, like in her looks, of course, in this palette. So I would really love to see her getting to do another palette at some point. You know, if not with this brand, with another brand, because I'd be very curious to see what it looks like. Here is a palette that I have been excited to bring out this season. This is the Nomad Whistler Lodge palette. I have been waiting. I've been waiting because I definitely want to dip into blue looks a little bit more this season, and I did not give this palette its moment to shine last year. I know I did a video with at least 3 looks using this one, and I had a lot of fun with it. I wore it a couple times, but I just didn't dive enough into the blues. So I think I need to do that this season. And this really is a palette that is so much more than just like a blue leaning palette. I think you could do so many different looks with this. You really could lean into that earthy vibe. And I've found, especially since, you know, Nomad is really like drawing from nature and landscapes and different like landmarks, if you will, like locations, you really get to see more nature inspired color stories. And I love that. I mean, this just makes me think of walking through a snow-capped forest. You know, I really love that. You could also do more like light snow angel looks out of this palette too, so I definitely need to give this one another try and do more looks with it, even though I really loved all the looks that I did before. I might have to go back and get some inspiration for myself from that video. Okay, this is another one that I'm really excited to dive into because I have not given this palette enough love. It deserves so much more. This is the Kaleidos Club Nebula palette. Of course, this one's in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist, and she's a beauty. Honestly, for me, it's the mattes in here. It is totally the mattes in this palette that get me. They're like grungy meets jewel toned. I love them. I would say that pretty much all of the shimmers, well, maybe like 4 of the shimmers are definitely more of those like topper type shades, which I'm just not one for putting topper shades over matte shadows. It's just not something that I do that much. I find that if I want a topper shadow, I'm gonna put it over a matte cream shadow, not like a matte powder shadow. So I might combine this with some of my matte cream shadows that I have. I think that that could be kind of fun, but it is definitely these like, these yummy rich shades over here. Like this is a blue that I can get behind. I remember really liking several of the tones in here, and I will definitely use the shimmers in here. It just isn't something that I reach for quite as much, but even that like Astro shade right now is calling to me. I used to wear, I know I've said this before, but I used to wear teal shadows on my eyes all the time. It was like teal, aqua, like those types of tones, and then like silver, 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 silver. And I just don't do that much anymore. So maybe this is gonna be the winter, maybe like going into 2023, I'm gonna be leaning into a little bit more of those like cooler toned looks. I don't know about the silver, y'all. I don't know if I can get down with that, but maybe some teal and some blue. We will see, and this will definitely be one that I pull out for that. I also just need to like take a moment to say, Kaleidos, will you please bring out more things like this? Like this was the last thing, it was the first thing. It was the first thing and the last thing that really excited me from this brand. I was a little late to the game on the Kaleidos train though, so that's part of it. I just like, by the time I heard of the brand, it was shortly thereafter that Angie did her palette, and I was just like, oh, do I want some of those other palettes? I'm okay. And then I was like, I'm sure there'll be something coming out in the future that you really also want to get, because I just loved the quality of this. And then I think the next thing was the Flower Punk palette, which is cute. It's very cute, but like I just was sort of like, I don't know, like, am I really going to use that one all that much? Like, I love all those shades that are in there, but am I going to use them in combination that much? Actually, I feel like the Odensai Hella palette is a little bit of that vibe, but just does it a little bit more balanced. And then, of course, Kaleidos just started doing all these quads, and like more monochromatic, and that is usually not my vibe. Like, I really like something, even if I like to wear monochromatic looks, but I don't like to be fenced into a monochromatic palette. I like to have my options, even if it's just like popping a little bit something different on the inner corner, or like running an accent color on the lower lash line. It's just more of my vibe. So when they had like those more like neutrals, and then the last two were like purpley shades, I was like, I don't really need that. So I'm really hoping that they bring out some bigger and like slightly more color variant palettes. Fingers crossed. All right, so let's totally like flip the script here. We just talked about super colorful. Now let's talk about super neutral. So the Coffee Talk palette from Sydney Grace. This palette is just, it's just perfection. It's just perfection for that like neutral, leaning, cool palette. this is going to give me everything I need. Everything I need if I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I want to wear today. What should I pull out? I really can't think of much other than like an incredibly like warm outfit that I wouldn't be able to pair this with. But even with that, like this macchiato shade is definitely more on the warm side. And then Ristretto is definitely a little bit more warm. But I mean, gosh, Sydney Grace, like, ooh, 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 ooh. And I know that I have not given this one. I mean, let's take those two right there and just swatch them. I mean, that would be such an easy, like, two and done look. And I really think that you could, you know, blend this shade out quite a bit and get something soft, or you could build it up and make a really nice smoky look. So this for me is going to be what I pull out when I want something like no fuss, still looks glam, like something that I know that I can count on, because Sydney Grace has such amazing quality. I've never been let down other than by that one cream shadow. Other than that, I've never been let down. And so this is going to be one. Again, I just have a feeling this winter for me is just going to be more about simple done right. You know, like celebrating a couple things rather than like a full face of like lots of things. We'll see. Maybe I'm going to change, but I've really been enjoying that vibe. So this is one that's going to get me there. Okay, I'm pulling out this one because, like I said, I've really been into more simple, like just, and not like more neutral, but just like something that is easy to do. I don't have to think about it too much, but I still like something super fun sometimes. So that's exactly why I pulled this one out. This is the Galactic Gourmand from Gourmand Girls. So this is a cutie. It's a little 6-pan, and I think that, I mean, really every single shade in here gives me winter vibes. Like you could take a couple of these more into like fall vibes too, but this is really nice. Like I've only used a couple shades in here, but let me go ahead and swatch a couple of these out. So I know I used Celestial. I think I did in a reel. I used it over black and made a gorgeous eyeliner with this, but let me swatch out 3 of these shades. All 3 of these, and I did grab the coolest tones, but all 3 of these, oh my gosh, just the texture of these. Ooh. I mean, look at that. Okay, I could totally get down with a blue eye using that shade. I mean, it's blue, it's purple, so good. I really love, by the way, that was Serious. I like Luna as well. I mean, oh, it's just like wet looking, so pretty. So I think any of these could be paired with like one matte shadow and you could have a beautiful, simple, yet stunning, vibrant look. And I am here for it. So actually this next palette that I'm going to show you is going to be the palette that I will probably pair with this one. And this is the Viseart Petite Mattes Dark. Now, if you saw my fall Shop My Stash, you will know that this was in there, and she's staying in partially just because I probably didn't use her enough, but I just think this is going to be so perfect to pull into any like winter looks because there's a lot in here that would work. Like, let me go ahead. I'm going to take, just to keep it, like I'm going to take this navy matte and we can pop it next to that like blue kind of periwinkle. Let's see what I could use in here to go with that middle shade. I could take this like deep plum. I'm gonna put that in the middle next to that. And then for Luna, I'm gonna take this deep burgundy. So, I mean, you see those combos there? Like, that would totally work. Like this purple with this beautiful shade over the top, I think would look stunning. And then this would make for a beautiful, like wet, kind of looking glossy smoky eye. And then these two, you could totally get a gorgeous, vibrant, just that bam blue. But it's 2 shades. It's 2 shades and you could be done. You could definitely pair in more shades if you really wanted to get fancy with it. But I think that this would definitely work. And I still think, you know, sometimes, actually a lot so far into the winter, I've still been steering into warmer tones, which is something that I love anyway, but honestly, for me, it just enlivens the face a bit more. It just tends to bring a little bit more like, yes, I'm alive, I'm awake, I'm here. And I've needed that. I've really needed that. So I think that, you know, these I could still pair with some beautiful like deep burgundy shades, get into some of those like fun holiday cranberry shades even. That would be really pretty with this one. So I think that there's a lot that these could do, but I am really going to enjoy pairing these two together. And by the way, if you want to see me do a look with these two, maybe I would do it like maybe here in a short or over on Instagram in a reel, so let me know down below. I think that it's so fun getting to pair 2 little tiny palettes together to make one big beautiful look. All right, for our last one, this is one of the few eyeshadow palettes that I purchased this year. And I mean, few by my standards. Like I bought a lot of singles, I bought a lot of makeup, but I just don't feel like I bought a ton of eyeshadow palettes. A big part of that was knowing that I was going to declutter, and I'm like, you need to like slow your roll and you need to see what you have first. But when I saw this color story, I couldn't help it. I had to get it, and that's the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. So this one, obviously, you know, we were introduced to this in fall, and it was a great fall palette, but I think that there is still so much potential in here for winter looks. I mean, obviously, we've got these beautiful berry tones over here, but as I mentioned, I do really like a warm, sultry look in the wintertime. And if I remember from my video, I don't know that I did a lot of pairing the cool and the warms together. I'm not really sure. I don't really remember, which means that I need to pull this one out and just explore it more. I definitely know that I can get more gorgeous looks out of this, and I really need to make a point to use her because I purchased her. So we're gonna do that. I mean, I purchased all of these. Yes, all of these I purchased, including this last one. So I was telling you that I would like to include a new like little mini category, if you will. And I have all of these. I think I did, if I counted it right, I did have 10 palettes that I put in as like my favorites for the season. But I want to do one for myself that is like a, hey, you need to pull this palette out this season. Like it might not be a favorite. I'm not saying that I hate it. It's just like a, this is probably the time to use this one and you haven't been, so give it a go. So this is another Odin's Eye palette. This is the Norns palette. And I have talked about this before. I love this color story. I mean, I love the colors. I love the colors in it. I mean, to me right now, I look at this and I'm like, yep, that's total like winter vibes. Like you have, I mean, Cranberry Christmas Corner right here, if that's your thing. You have this sort of like alpine winter business. We've got some beautiful mauve situation, Sugar Plum Fairy. I really think you could do a lot. Again, another like aqua that would just be beautiful. But here's the thing. Every time I pull this one out, I'm like, so where am I going with this one? Like this colorful black, that is actually really pretty. It's like it's a black with the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest amount of shimmer to it. Ooh, it almost just looks like shiny soot. I love that. See? And I have not used that shade at all. So this is exactly why I need to get this palette out. The thing is I just always feel like I need to reach for another color. And usually I get in here and I'm kind of like, I feel like I need another lighter matte. Like this shade, I just kind of wish that this one wasn't in here. It's like this like cement shade, and I don't even think I've used it. It doesn't even look touched. So usually I end up pulling out this mist shade, which then I'm like, well, then I need to do something that works with like a mauve. So I think between having, if I were like to just be like, this is my eyeshadow, this is my eyeshadow collection for the season and I can't use anything else, I really think that I could get away with that. I really think I could. But between having Coffee Talk to be able to get in some of those other like neutrals and then having the Viseart Petite Mattes, I think that I really have a lot to work with here. So I'm gonna give this one a moment to shine. And I'm gonna get back to you at the end of the season and let you know how I did. So I think that that's just like a good thing to do. So I wanna challenge all of you to do that. I just needed to like feature this palette in this video because if you're like me, you definitely have those palettes that you're like, I'm not really feeling that one right now. I think it's more like this season. And then sometimes that season comes and goes and you're like, oh, I never used that thing. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it this season with Norns. If you have that palette and you have a vibe that you like to go for, if you have a color combination that you enjoy, leave it down below. Maybe I will use your look for inspo. I would really like to do that. I would also really like to thank all of you for hanging out with me. It's been fun. It's great to just sit down after the end of a long day and get to talk about eyeshadow with all of you, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any of these palettes and you're gonna pull them out, let me know. Also, if there's something like, what is your #1 winter eyeshadow palette? Like, is there something that you know you're gonna like pull out? Or is there something that you have new that you're really excited to use? I would love to know. If you did like this video, don't forget to give it a like. It would really help me out and I always appreciate it. So until next time, I will see you really soon.